have to differentiate between new buildings and existing buildings. If we renovate an existing building, the first thing we try to do is to improve the energy efficiency of the existing structure. That means adding insulation, exchanging windows, doors, usually insulating the roof, and also the basement can help a lot, because if you have a historic building with beautiful facades, it's difficult to put exterior insulation. So then it's better to work with the basement and the roof. And then, if possible, change the heating system. In Austria, we're trying to get out of the gas supply and reduce the gas consumption. So to have new alternative energy, like long-distance heating in Vienna is a good alternative. In the countryside, it's possible deep poles and wherever possible to add photovoltaic panels to produce the electricity. But if we come to the new buildings, then of course the range of measures is quite large. First of all, we have to design very carefully, and consider the life cycle costs. I think it's very important to consider the life cycle costs. And there I say not 30 years, but 100 years. If we design and build a building today, it should stand 100 years. And if we calculate, the CO2 neutrality based on a 100-year cycle, then the choice of materials is quite large, because you can use a more expensive material because it has a longer lifespan. And then, of course, also with new buildings, it's very important to have high energy efficiency. Ideally, you don't need to heat or cool, because the building is so intelligently planned that it works for itself. And there we can look in the traditions. The traditional building methods very often were very close to the climate. They understood the old builders hundreds of years ago. If you look at old farmhouses, for example, they understood how to work with the local climate zone. And I think that has been forgotten a little bit also in the whole training of architecture. And I always am an advocate, that clients, public or private, should invest much more in a careful design process involving architects, but also other experts, engineers, technical engineers for the technical systems, but also structural engineers, in order to reduce the material that you use, because that's also very ecological to use minimal material, and then you can achieve CO2 neutrality. When you design a new building or build, you have to consider the life cycle costs and really plan and design a building that lasts very long and doesn't have to be repaired in a few years. I think that's important, but most important, if we want to achieve CO2 neutrality, is we have to work with the existing building stock. If you look at the numbers, 80% of the buildings that are standing today will be standing 2040, 80%. So if you want to achieve CO2 neutrality in buildings, you have to work with the existing. It's very clear, because you have to improve them. And to improve the things that I said, energy efficiency, so they reduce less, they use less energy for heating and cooling, but also, repair, considering circular economy, also in the interior, in the renovation, in the windows, and the doors. And then I think it can be done if everybody works together, but everybody needs to focus more on the design process. We have now very often a process where very quickly something is designed and built. I think you need to think more, to have a carefully laid out process, invest more in the design phase, and then be more specific and precise in the building. Well, it's very important, because all the experts need to work together. It's not just the architect or not just the client or the builder. They all need to collaborate, and they all need to have the same vision, that they want to achieve CO2 neutrality, that they want to build more energy efficient. Yes, the builder, the client has to be willing to spend a little more maybe, but then he saves the money in the long run. So it's an argument against fast profit, but more long-term profit. And so I think events like this are very important because we all can discover, new materials, there's so much innovation going on. And the biggest problem is to know all the innovation that's going on, yeah.